Hello. Hello, hello, hello. Here we are, apprehensive. Get the buttons rolling. Buttons rolled okay. Engine started up. Voice is still here. Enthusiasm is still here. So we're ready to roll. John Beattie, International Director of the British People's League, coming at you today with Dinosaur News, April 25th, 2014. Dinosaur News produced by thebritishpeoplesleague.com. Today's a pinch theoretical. Theory may not sound important, but it is, especially for young activists who will be carrying our signs on picket duty in the future. Now, what's Beattie up to? Oh, how are you today, by the way? Hope you're feeling well. My sniffles have subsided somewhat. We blocked the Mississippi a bit. Okay, question of the day. Does the British People's League dare give opinions about Patriot groups inside the motherland? Repeat. Does the British People's League dare give opinions about Patriot groups inside Britain? Would we, the British People's League based in British Canada, be considered as meddlers? Well, hardly not. I mean, we're fighting for patriotism together. But I'm leading up to something. I mean, no doubt in our minds it's a clear do pitch in and help stop the invasion by multicults, because the motherland is being swamped more heavily than here in Canada, although, you know, it's catching up in the white Western world, as we all know through these YouTubes, said over and over and over again. But having said this in mind, on top of the Dinosaur News, I say this with a grin, where's the book, Beattie? Where's the promised book for the last 3 or 4 years? You can hardly do your Dinosaur News without groaning, moaning, crying, and whining. And now throwing in another project on top to boot. Well, the donations and gifts have not been keeping up at all. It makes it almost, I feel I'm not doing my job properly, but I haven't changed much since the early donations. So for whatever reason, now the opposite side of the coin here. But the interest has grown, so figure that one out. But the interest that's being spread is to newbies, new people who are reading, viewing these YouTubes for the first time, trying to figure this all out. So they have to be on the fringes of the choir for a bit until they're willing to pitch in gifts, of course. A good excuse I'm making up? Well, it's a fact. And the reason I say that the YouTubes are picking up, and my Google Analytics isn't even working these days, but the interest, we of the British People's League are finally getting contacts in the motherland that really are of much weight. Contacts from young people who have been involved with some group activity. Even though they're young, they've still been around a couple of years. Now, having said this, and with this in mind, in the works is a new potential internet radio patriot show based in the motherland, in the United Kingdom. With this in mind, in the works is a new potential internet radio patriot show based in the United Kingdom. And yours truly, this speaker, could well be a regular voice on the newly proposed UK-based internet radio show. On top of and beyond these anchor British People's League Dinosaur News broadcasts. So that's a spark of interest that has incredible potential. And the reason that it's developing quite favorably for the British People's League and this boy is that in the United Kingdom, as in America, the various groups that promote the survival of our white race are at each other's throats. And unfortunately, so much always boils down to money. They can talk all they want about differences, but the the main reason they're all fighting is they're all fighting for the same dollar from the same few supporters that we have. And the fight gets vicious and personal smears and attacks, and it's horrible. It's happening in a parallel way in Britain and the motherland, and in the States at the same time with the various groups at each other's throats, especially on the internet radio broadcasts in America. In Britain, the smears against one another take place more on forums, different political forum blogs. But it's vicious, it's horrible. It's ironic that there aren't more groups supporting of our British roots here in Canada. Ironic because the same problem is here. We're all being swamped by multiculturalism. But because there are no other groups in Canada, there's no infighting here. So with this new broadcast setup being produced by a young man living in the motherland, in Britain, hopefully when this boy starts doing broadcasts in the new setup in the United Kingdom from here, hopefully I'll be a fresh voice. Being older, hopefully I can be a bit more diplomatic and avoid commotions with other Patriot groups. There's the key word, Patriot. That's leading into something else for sure. The very word Patriot itself. These Dinosaur news broadcasts are now being recognized within Patriot circles as having something positive to say in our battle above and underground to stop the invasion of our lands now and forevermore. Optimistic? Yes, very optimistic. Can the success of an organization be judged upon by donations and gifts? Not necessarily. It's hard times economically. Yet the recognition of our British People's League, this recognition factor is growing by leaps and bounds. We're being invited at the same time as this discussion is going on in Britain, setting up a new radio setup. In America, one of the blogs that's right in the arguments of their internal civil war down there. Anyway, there's a spokesperson who has a show, a weekly 1-hour show. This particular person also lives in Britain, and he's setting up arrangements to have me on as a guest, perhaps this coming week. I say perhaps. Perhaps the individual who's extending the invitation may not like what I have to say on today's show. However, I think he's above the squabbling. The recognition factor is growing by leaps and bounds, especially when so many nationalist groups are at each other's throats for various internal reasons. Yeah, and money reasons too. They all seem to be slighted. And instead of direct aim at the overall multi-cult enemy, they're fighting amongst themselves. So far, the BPL has avoided such internal squabbles. Now we'll see if we can say that after this new radio setup is situated in the motherland and yours truly appears. We'll see how long it takes for comments to be made on forums. Beattie's this and Beattie's that and Beattie's that and Beattie's this. We'll see. You know, the inner core of the various nationalist groups are known to one another. Now watch the accents I'm putting on the word nationalist and patriot. The inner core of the various nationalist groups are known to one another, but not to the white British global public at large. And I say white British global public, so do understand I'm talking about old white Australia, not the old citizens necessarily. We need the young desperately. But we're talking about global British roots, as our friends at Candor like to put it. And Candor, again, the address, where our friends in the United Kingdom. And by the way, the Candor League aren't aware of this radio situation set up. It's an independent thing going on in Britain. Candor, C-A-N-D-O-U-R, candor.org.uk, candor.org.uk. But of course, when we get on this radio set up in Britain, we'll give many thorough details, more details about good old Candor. So, the inner core of the various nationalist groups are not known to one another, are known to one another. I'm really slipping. This is getting complicated. What I'm trying to say is that the various nationalist groups that are fighting, they all use that term nationalists, and they are known to one another. But the average British global public, to them this would be all theory, theoretical, and to some of you viewers you'll think, what's Beattie mumbling through here today? Well, it's the same with the American Internet nationalist shows. Their inner cores are known to one another, but again, not to the public at large. And frankly, we of the British People's League are not in league with any of these squabbling groups. 95% of these groups call themselves nationalist, but they leave off the word socialist. They are national socialists. So do not be deceived. Once again, we of the British People's League promote the sound, proven, and true term of as patriot. Once again, we of the British People's League promote the sound, proven, and true term of as patriot. Patriot versus against the hidden Nazi term of nationalist. Now, there are many patriots. There are many patriots, genuine, honest patriots, who are not aware of the difference in the meaning in certain circles. The word nationalist has been hijacked, kidnapped by National Socialists who haven't learned that the war has been over for a few years. They've been living in caves. If and when we become a regular broadcast on the network being formed right now in the motherland, in Britain, we'll dwell on this differential until everyone understands it, because it's very, very important. And I say if and when we become a regular broadcaster. This is looking like it's going to be a firm situation, not too far down the road. Now, many viewers, no doubt, asking in a confused way, what is all this to do with the war against multiculturalism? Two words, nationalist and patriot, big deal. Much ado about nothing? Look, those needed in the front line for picket duty, these are the people who need to know the score. Unlike some organizations, when we get rolling, I can't control people talking to the press. I can't do a muzzle on people. I don't want to. But hopefully, well, of course, those who are willing to do picket duty, they've got the guts to go forward. So we really want them to know the difference in the two terms, because they are the ones who have the guts to go forward. So they are going to be the ones who are going to speak up for our cause more vocally, aren't they? They'll need to know the differences in terminology. Down the road, it's going to be big time. And I say that after crying at you for 2 months about how small we are and what a hard time we have in growing. But in the last 2 or 3 days, the avalanche of emails, and especially due to the earthquake of the American white groups viciously gossiping at one another, and likewise in the motherland at the same time. And here we are in the middle between Britain and America, I like to say, as clean as a whistle. What you see is what you've got. The old Bible even says, by your countenance shall ye know them. So surely to goodness, by looking at my ugly puss here day after day, you can certainly see that I'm genuine and sincere. By their countenance shall ye know them. The sympathizers and money supporters down the road who choose to stay in the background may never be questioned by the general public as to our aims. But repeating, those on picket duty will be asked questions. You might think, rightfully so, that I'm digging too deep on these different terms. I'm not digging too deep. There's so many young recruits being sneakily won over to what I call the Nationalist camp, and they're hidden Nazis, and that's all there is to it. You don't have to dig far. They're proud of it. This terminology never came up 20 years ago that there was a problem. The word nationalist has been hijacked by Nazis. So you might think I'm digging too deep in these different terms. We're in competition right now, not competition with Nazis, but competition for the souls, the fighting spirit, the spark of our young people that we need on frontline picket duty. That's what we're fighting for. We're in competition right now with various other groups that are fighting for white survival. We're all fighting for the same thing. But as said in yesterday's broadcast on the 24th of April, you just can't unite people who have different philosophies. You can bang heads against walls all you like. It doesn't work. The most coherent, genuine, sincere, and in tune with timing organization is going to be the lead in the battle for white survival, and in particular our British roots, our British heritage, our British future. Because many of the other groups draw excited youth to their revived banners of defeated National Socialism from the Second World War. It's hard to believe, but it's a fact. I'm at it every day now, as you all know. I get the emails. I see what's going on with the different groups. I've got age on my side. I can see from the experiences I've had. I used to think that the left, the theoretical left, got bogged down. Well, here we are being bogged down with these two terms. But with repetition, viewers will understand the significant difference in 2014. So again and again we say, make use of the word patriot and drop the misused word nationalist. That's pretty well the message for today. Thank you for tuning in. We'll be back at you with great pleasure on April 28th, this coming Monday. Have a good weekend. Be with us. We're with you.